Before we even get started, stop scrolling, because what Dawn Staley just revealed about Madina Okot will completely change how you see the South Carolina This isn't just another development story. This is about what a championship coach took away to unlock something dangerous inside one of the fastest rising players in college basketball. And trust me, when the head coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks women's basketball says she removed something from a player's game, you lean in and because the result explosive, confident, unstoppable. But here's the wild part, it wasn't about adding a new move. It wasn't about fixing a jumper. It wasn't about changing the system. It was about stripping away pressure, stripping away hesitation, stripping away the need to be and once that happened, everything shifted. So buckle up, because we're about to break down exactly what Dawn Staley saw, what she changed, and how that one powerful adjustment is turning Madina Okot into a nightmare matchup for the rest of the country. If you love football breakdowns, inside coaching stories, and championship-level mindset talk, make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment below right now. Do you think simplifying a star's role can actually unlock great? Let's get into it. Down at the podium after another commanding night from the South Carolina Gamecocks women's basketball, the box score told one story. But because when reporters asked about Madina Okot and her growing dominance, Staley didn't talk about adding plays to her package. She didn't mention a new offensive wrinkle. She didn't highlight some revolutionary training adjustment. Instead, she leaned back and explained something far more powerful. I took something away, she said. That's what made the difference. And that single decision may have changed the trajectory of South Carolina's. When Okot first stepped onto campus in Columbia, she carried more than a duffel bag. She carried expectations, international buzz, highlight reels, whispers about her potential as the next versatile front-court weapon in Staley's evolving system. At 6'6" with fluid movement and a developing perimeter shot, Okot wasn't just a post player. She was a matchup problem. Long, agile, capable of stepping out beyond the arc. Analysts loved her upside. Fans projected, but potential can be heavy, and in the early weeks, you could see the weight. She hesitated before pulling the trigger from three. She second-guessed post moves she'd executed effortlessly in practice. On defense, she occasionally arrived a half-step late, not because she lacked ability, but because she was thinking. Too much thinking. That's what Staley noticed. Dawn Staley has built her program on clarity and confidence. Her championship teams weren't just talented, they were decisive. They played with an edge that came from certainty. When they attacked, it was without apology. Okot, for all her talent, was apologizing to the moment. Not outwardly. Not verbally. But in the way she passed up open shots. In the way she reset instead of finishing strong. In the way she glanced toward the bench after a mistake. She wanted to be perfect. Staley doesn't coach she coaches fearless, so she stripped things down. In a film session that players later described as simple but direct, Staley rewound possession after possession. Not to criticize, but to highlight hesitation. She paused clips where Okot caught the ball in rhythm but pump-faked into traffic. She showed moments where the right decision was made, but made slowly. Then she told her something that stuck. You don't need to prove you belong. You already do. And that's when the subtraction began. Staley simplified Okot's role. No more overcomplicated reads. No layered responsibilities on every possession. Instead, rebound hard. Sprint the floor. Protect the rim. Shoot when open. Play through mistakes. That was it. It wasn't. For a young player trying to live up to hype, narrowing focus feels like freedom. Suddenly, Okot wasn't playing to justify her ranking or silence critics. She was playing to execute 4 clear tasks. And once the mental clutter disappeared, her instincts resurfaced. Her footwork in the post sharpened. Instead of backing down and scanning for help defenders, she attacked the first advantage. When defenders sagged, she rose confidently from deep, no extra dribbles, no hesitation. Her body language shifted too. Gone were the quick glances toward the bench after missed shots. Instead, she sprinted back on defense, clapping for the next possession. Teammates responded. The bench energy around her plays grew louder. Confidence is contagious inside Colonial Life Arena. One night, when Okot drilled back-to-back threes after previously struggling from distance, Staley didn't jump out of her seat. She folded her arms and nodded. That nod meant everything. And trust is what Staley had taken away, or rather, the need to constantly earn it. Okot didn't have to audition every night. She just had to play. Behind the scenes, assistant coaches reinforced the message. They tracked not just points and rebounds, but decisiveness. How quickly did she shoot? How hard did she sprint? How early did she establish position? The metrics weren't about perfection. They were about presence. And the growth showed. In a crucial SEC matchup, with the score tight late in the third quarter, Okot grabbed a defensive rebound in traffic and pushed the break herself. Instead of pulling up and resetting, she attacked downhill and finished through contact. That wasn't scripted. That was what happens when a player stops calculating and starts competing. Staley later explained that elite programs often overcomplicate development. Add more skills. Expand range. Increase versatility. But sometimes a player doesn't need more tools. They need fewer thoughts. For Okot, overthinking was the barrier between potential and production. So Staley removed it. In practice, drills became faster. Less pausing. Less over-instruction. If Okot made a mistake, they moved on. The emphasis was rhythm. One teammate joked that Staley had taken off the training wheels and the instruction manual at the same time. But the results weren't chaotic. They were controlled aggression. Okot's rebounding numbers climbed. Her shooting percentage improved not because mechanics changed, but because timing did. Defensively, she began anticipating rather than reacting. The transformation wasn't overnight. There were still rough patches. A game where foul trouble limited her impact. A stretch where shots didn't fall. But the difference was visible in how she handled it. No slumped shoulders. No searching glances. Just steady effort. Staley often talks about building pros, not just in skill set, but in mindset. Professionals understand role clarity. They understand that confidence doesn't come from never failing, it comes from not fear. Okot absorbed that lesson. And South Carolina benefited. As postseason intensity loomed, opponents began scouting her differently. Closeouts became more aggressive. Post defenders leaned heavier. Help rotations arrived earlier. Instead of retreating, Okot adjusted. One possession late in a pivotal conference clash summed it up perfectly. She caught the ball at the top of the key, defender sagging. Earlier in the season, she might have hesitated. This time, catch. Rise. Splash. No pause. Staley didn't celebrate loudly, but she smiled, because that shot wasn't just 3 points. It was proof. Proof that subtracting doubt can unlock dominance. In locker room moments, teammates began echoing the same message to younger players: play free. That culture shift matters. When a rising star embraces clarity, it ripples outward. Staley later admitted that coaching sometimes requires resisting the urge to add. When you see potential, the instinct is to expand it, give more responsibilities, demand more complexity. But she recognized something crucial with Okot. More wasn't better. Better was better. And better required simplicity. As the Gamecocks march toward another championship push, Okot's emergence feels timely. She's no longer the player trying to measure up to projections. She's the player forcing opponents to adjust. And it all traces back to a subtraction. Staley didn't take away ambition. She didn't take away skill. She took away hesitation. She removed the fear of imperfection. She stripped the game back to instinct. In doing so, she unlocked the best version of Madina Okot. The version that rebounds with authority. The version that shoots without apology. The version that anchors a defense and stretches an offense. The version that doesn't look to the bench for reassurance, because she already has it. Great coaching isn't always loud. It isn't always tactical genius drawn on a whiteboard. Sometimes, it's a quiet conversation. A simplified role. A reminder that belonging doesn't require constant proof. For Madina Okot, that reminder changed everything. And for Dawn Staley, it reinforced something she's known for years. You don't always build greatness by adding. Sometimes, you build it by taking away just enough to let it breathe. As the lights get brighter and the stakes grow heavier, one thing is clear: the freedom Staley gave her rising star might be the most valuable adjustment of. Because now, when Okot steps onto the floor, she isn't carrying expectation. She's carrying confidence. And that's far more dangerous.